I just want one crown jewel in 2024 that ends under normal conditions, and we don't have to talk about controversy. We don't have to talk about should it have been a caution? Did someone jump a restart? Why was this race range shortened? The Brickyard 400 is back, and I was as excited as anyone else about this race coming back, the Indianapolis 400, the iconic Brickyard 400. So much excitement coming into this race, and then the hype got even more after yesterday's thrilling Xfinity finish. Then today happened, and oh my goodness. We're going to start with the end. Other than that, I would not know where to start. It was a day of strategies, but at the end of this race, everyone was cutting it close on fuel. Brad Keselowski, he had been on fuel for 60 laps, and the estimated fuel window was 43 laps. So how he got this far is a miracle. Well, the miracle ran out after there was a caution with about 3 laps to go, actually 2 laps to go, when Kyle Busch, where everything has gone wrong this year, finally everything is going his way. He has a top 10 day, and he wrecks himself going for 5th on Denny Hamlin, and that ruins his day. He finishes somewhere in the 20s. Anyways, this means that we're going to go to overtime. So how is Brad Keselowski going to make it now? He's going to run out, right? No, and he stays out, and he decides to run out of fuel off of turn 4, coming to the green flag as the leader. Well, as a result, Ryan Blaney, who was in second place, chose the outside lane to be on the front row with Brad Keselowski. Kyle Larson, restarting third, or was third, entering that restart, picked the bottom to be behind Brad Keselowski. Well, Keselowski pulled off the track, went down pit road, meaning Larson is now on the front row, and Ryan Blaney is on the top of the track. But it's like, oh, what are we doing this? Like, who? What do we do here? Well, the official rule is that the outside car, so in this instance, Keselowski's on the inside, Blaney is on the outside, first place Brad, second place Blaney, third place Larson. The rule is if the first place car goes off the track, that means Blaney on the outside lane. Now, once again, this is at Indy especially, it's not the preferred lane, but Ryan Blaney has the right to choose when to restart this race. He is the control car. Well, looking at the restart, it sure looks like Kyle Larson was the control car. Larson jumped first, and then it looked like Blaney jumped, but then Larson is suddenly side by side with him again, and as I said, the inside line is so much more preferred here on the oval that Larson was able to take the lead and run away. There was quickly a caution, a huge wreck, a red flag ensued, and ultimately that wrote the end of the race. Kyle Larson was the control car of this race, and Ryan Blaney said it in his post-race interview. He didn't have control of the race. He didn't have that inside line, and he knew at that point it was over because the inside line is so powerful. As for the end of the race itself, we had more controversy. Kyle Larson retained the lead on the restart, got clear, got ahead of Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick. And then coming off of turn 2 on lap 1 of the restart, Ryan Preece went spinning to the inside, just barely tapped the inside wall. And I applaud NASCAR at first, let me finish, people, for, trying to let this thing play out, seeing what happens, see if Ryan Preece can get it going again, run on down the road, and we can get a natural finish. Well, it's been 5 seconds. It's been 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30. Oh my God, the white flag is out and he's still sitting there. Let's keep going. Let's see if that, oh, nope. Okay, they're at turn 1. Let's just throw the caution now. The most anticlimactic end to this race possible. Ryan Preece sat there for almost a full minute, burning out himself with a flat right rear tire or a flat left. Maybe 3 tires were flat. I don't know. But Ryan Preece was sitting in the same spot, crashed, with flat tires, not able to move, and NASCAR said, yes, let's have the white flag fly. We don't want another restart. Let's have it end like this. Here's my problem with it. Look, I understand NASCAR. They don't want to have what happened at Nashville a couple weeks ago, and they don't want to have a 2017 Brickyard 400 where we go into like 4 or 5 overtimes and everyone's wrecking and there's only 6 competitive cars at the end of this thing. But when there's a car literally sitting there basically dead on the backstretch and you know it's dead, and you know it's not going to get restarted. When you see him spinning his back wheels, his back tires, and he's not moving, why are we still green? He wasn't moving. We knew he wasn't going to move, and Kyle Larson just cruises to victory. Lots of conspiracy theorists out there saying that this race was rigged for Larson because, of course, Larson back in May attempted the double, the Indianapolis 500 Coke 600. Everything possibly that could go wrong went wrong. The Indianapolis 500 got rain delayed. He completed the race, but then as soon as he shows up for the Coke 600, which, by the way, he did not get to race in, the race was called, and he didn't get any laps in that race, and he didn't even get a shot at the double. They run that same Arrow McLaren Hendrick Motorsports mix-up of a paint scheme, and, well, yeah, Kyle Larson wins. So there's a lot of people saying it's rigged, a lot of people saying Larson's the golden boy. Yeah, obviously, this is not a good look if you're Kyle Larson. I mean, he's super happy to win. It's a crown jewel win, but fans will say what they say. Trollers on the internet will say what they will say. I don't think NASCAR actually rigged it. No, that's a giant conspiracy. But, yeah, it's just not the prettiest ending. That's an understatement. It was not a pretty ending. It was nowhere near close to a pretty ending. A weekend that had so much promise, that had so much hope, that was so fun leading up to this point, and we get a sour taste in our mouths at the end of this thing. It's disappointing. NASCAR, just the calls they made today from beginning to end were disappointing. At the beginning of this race, we saw Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski get penalized for a blend line violation, which is if you go over a line, the blend line, you are penalized for blending onto the racetrack too soon, exiting pit road. Well, upon further review, the specific text of the rule book, it's kind of confusing wording. It's kind of a gray area because they say you can go over the white line, but they don't specify, and there's like 4 at Indianapolis. And then they say don't go on the racing surface. What is technically the racing surface? And I get why they penalized Elliott. He was well over that final white line. He was on the racing surface. But Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski were upset. Chase Elliott was furious on the radio. He was dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds. And he was saying, like, I read the paper, the email, something like that. And he's like, no, I did what I was supposed to. And he was furious. So it was confusing the way they worded it, but I get why. But anyways, that was controversial early. That had fans splitting decisions. That even had the broadcast talking about it for like the entire first stage. But as for the rest of the race, as for the controversial blend line rule, as for the controversial ending, everything in between, it was a lot of different strategies. It was hard to keep up with all the different strategies. Guys trying to make it on a certain amount of pit stops, trying to take as few pit stops as possible, trying to make it to the end on fuel. Some guys saving more fuel than others. Sometimes guys would take 2, some would take 4, some would stay out, some would take no tires. There was a lot of mixed strategies. There was no real tire fall off. It was extremely difficult to pass, but Kyle Larson in that last stint proved that you could. He went from the mid-teens back to maybe 20th. I think that's where he restarted, and he was able to make his way up into the top 10, the top 7, the top 5. Suddenly, he's in third with a handful of laps to go, right on Ryan Blaney's tail, who was right on Brad Keselowski's tail. And I'm telling you, watching Larson cut through the field like that, just slowly setting up moves, it looked like the Indianapolis 500. I swear, some of those moves he was making, I was sitting there like, I think he learned this in May. I think he made some of those exact moves, but now he's just doing it with a heavier, slower stock car. That might not be true. That might just be me overthinking it, but it was extremely fun to watch. The ending was about to be so intriguing until Kyle Busch crashed, and then we got our sour taste. Controversial. There should have been a caution. Did Larson jump the restart? I'm curious what the data says. I'm curious what happens once we get the onboards to see if Kyle Larson jumped the restart. And we'll talk about it tomorrow on the Monday after our Monday after post-race live stream where we talk about everything I'm missing. This, speaking of, I have an announcement in that live stream regarding what we're going to do during the Olympic break. So tune in for that. But as for now, we will talk about the results of this race. Kyle Larson wins the Brickyard 400, which means there's only one crown jewel remaining for Kyle Larson to win. That is the Daytona 500. He won the Southern 500 last year. He won the Coke 600 in 2021. And this year he won the Brickyard 400 in its triumphant return. Once again, he did it in controversial fashion, but it wasn't anything of his doing. Yes, he technically you could argue he jumped the start there. And once again, it was the same thing as Denny Hamlin. Did he jump the start? I feel like this is Richmond all over again. So there's going to be a lot of people debating that. But the fact of the matter is, Kyle Larson won the race. The record books will show he won this thing. The return to the Brickyard, he wins it. The Jeff Gordon streak does not continue. The 24 car does not win in a year ending in 0. Neither did the 48, which is the car that Jeff Gordon owns. Neither did Chase Elliott, the team that Jeff Gordon used to drive for with Alan Gustafson and that whole group. But the one Hendrick car Jeff Gordon technically doesn't have an association with wins. So I guess he's got that going for him. Anyways, Kyle Larson is your winner. It's his 4th win of the season. He's the only driver with 4 wins in 2024 now. I think he retakes the regular season points lead. I'm pretty sure he picked up, 7 or 8, maybe 9 stage points on the day. So he got some stage points. He won the race. Tyler Reddick finished 2nd. He was only a handful of points behind Elliott and Larson. Reddick, I think, got some stage points as well today. I think he got 10 or 11. So really good day for Tyler Reddick. Had speed all weekend long. Led the first 41 laps of this race. But the way strategy played out, he went back in the field front, back, middle, front. I feel like that was the story of everyone's day. At some point, you were at the front. At some point, you were in the middle. At some point, you were in the back. Just the way all these different strategies mixed up, the way all the fuel mileage mixed up, the way all the cautions fell. We saw Zane Smith in the top 5. We saw Daniel Hemrick in the top 5. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick. It seems like everyone I list is going to be in the top 5 or top 10 at some point in this race. John Hunter Nemechek led like 15 laps in this race. That's how crazy it was. 3rd place, Ryan Blaney. He was ultimately the guy that got screwed by Brad Keselowski running out of gas. Blaney seemed like he had enough fuel to make it to the end at regulation. Obviously had enough to make it to the end in double overtime. But Ryan Blaney looking to win his 2nd consecutive race, to win his 2nd crown jewel, I want to say. He won last year at the Coke 600. So he was looking for another crown jewel to add to his list. And, of course, the importance of Indianapolis to Roger Penske, who owns the Team Penske, obviously, but also owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Big moment for him, but unfortunately comes up short. As I said, just really bad luck. And he said in his post-race interview, he was so mad that he kind of got screwed by that call, but he didn't know who to be directly mad with. He's like, Kyle Larson didn't really do anything to me. Ryan Preece at the end didn't do anything to him with a caution, but I wish they would have penalized Larson there. I don't think he said that directly, but he was just frustrated that there wasn't a penalty for Larson there. 4th place, Christopher Bell. Good top 5 day for him. He was quiet all day long. Shows up in the top 10 for the last stint. Ends up 4th. 5th place, Bubba Wallace. We are going to talk about him in the playoff standings. Bubba Wallace won a stage today. He ran up in the top 15 for a good chunk of this race. They played the strategy perfectly, and they end up 5th, and they made up a ton of points for the 2nd consecutive week. Pointing his way into the playoffs is a legit possibility, even if we get a new winner. He has made up massive points these last 2 weeks. Suddenly, Bubba Wallace and team are in this thing when it comes to points. 6th place, Todd Gilliland. Great day for him. They have been nailing the strategy all season long. Texas, I know it didn't end well for him at Texas, but Texas, they ran top 15 all day after that one. Kansas, I think he finished in the top 10. A couple others I'm probably forgetting, but the strategy, I forget. Who's his crew chief? Ryan Bergenti. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But anyways, he has been making some great calls this year. Todd Gilliland still in the top 20 in points. Another great day for Todd Gilliland. 7th place, Austin Cindric. Really good day for him. A double top 10 for Team Penske at their home race. I guess I know they're based in Charlotte, but with Roger Penske and all that, 8th place, Daniel Suarez, a much-needed top 10 for him. Noah Gragson, a good top 10 for him in SHR's final Brickyard 400. 10th place, Chase Elliott. I think this is still accurate. Chase Elliott, man, when I was looking at the post-race results initially, he was 4th, then he was 6th, then he was 12th, then he was 10th. So if the results change in between now when I'm recording to the actual results, I might just have to re-record this segment. 11th place, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He was up in the top 5 at one point thanks to strategy. I'm telling you, everyone was up there, man. 12th, Carson Hocevar. 13th, Austin Dillon. 14th, Corey LaJoie. 15th, Raj Chastain. Tough points position for Chastain. Michael McDowell, 16th. Zane Smith, he's been quietly getting better this last few months, or really last few weeks, I should say. The runner-up at Nashville, but other than that, he's been consistently in the top 20. He qualified top 10 at Pocono. Zane Smith's he's not making a lot of noise, but he's getting better. It seems like they're starting to get a groove on in a way. So 17th for Zane Smith. He was up in the top 5 at the end of this thing before that late caution. He would have been in the top 5. He would have had a 4th or a 5th, I want to say, if it wasn't for Kyle Busch wrecking. So great day for them, but ultimately they just got kind of screwed there by that caution, running out of fuel and having to pit. So, yeah. 18th. Whoa. All right, then. Cody Ware finished 18th. How about that? Good for you, Cody Ware. 19th, Ty Dillon. Oh, my God. 18th. I need a minute here. I would have never predicted that. Both of them, one of them in the top 20, I would not have guessed. Both. I'm speechless here, man. Brickyard legend, Ty Dillon, everyone. 20th, Justin Haley, a double top 20 for Rick Ware Racing. How about that? 21st, Brad Keselowski ran out of fuel, led so many laps there at the end, had a great opportunity, but just one caution well, technically 2 cautions too many. But anyways, you get the point. If Kyle Busch doesn't wreck there, Brad Keselowski might actually win this thing. Might not, but he would have had a better chance, obviously. 22nd, Chris Buescher. What a terrible day for him. Had a left rear tire go down early, went multiple laps down, and that essentially screwed him. That ruined their day. They weren't able to score stage points. They weren't able to run better than 30th until the end here with all the cautions. Chris Buescher finishes 22nd. 23rd, Ty Gibbs. More engine troubles for them. If they keep having this, they're suddenly going to be in a point scare. 24th, Chase Briscoe. 25th, Kyle Busch, man. Just take the top 10 and go home. 6th and 5th, when you're 100 points below the cutoff line, what's the difference? You desperately need a morale boost. You need something to go your way. You've wrecked, as you said, 5 of the last 7 races. You are in 6th place. Take the top 10, go home, sleep easy for the next 2 races, and go to Richmond being happy and confident. We're coming off a top 10. We're coming all rested and ready to go. Why? Why did you wreck yourself there? Makes no sense to me. Ryan Preece, 26th. Martin Truex Jr., 27th, wrecked multiple times today. Eric Jones, 28th. John Hunter Nemechek, as I said, led about 15 laps in this race. They were actually pretty fast today, shockingly fast. They pulled away from Tyler Reddick on a restart. I was shocked, and he was actually top 5 for a good chunk of this race, but he kind of wrecked himself off the front bumper of Daniel Hemrick, which led to the red flag before the final restart. Speaking of, Daniel Hemrick 30th, Alex Bowman 31st. Denny Hamlin, his quest for a first Brickyard, he looked like he had the fastest car maybe. It was hard to tell with all the strategy, but it looked like he had the fastest car, led a ton of laps, won a stage, so he does get a playoff point, but he remains without a Brickyard 400 win to his name. 33rd, Jimmy Johnson. With Jimmy Johnson not winning, that keeps the streak alive. Jeff Gordon still the winningest driver in Brickyard 400 history with 5. Jimmy Johnson only has 4. 34th, Joey Logano had a hard hit. 35th, Josh Berry crashed. 36th, Harrison Burton crashed. 37th, AJ Allmendinger. 38th, William Byron. Hard crash for Byron. Yeah. 39th, BJ McLeod. Yeah, they kind of just start and park that thing. Start and park, you are so back, baby. Anyways, here are your playoff standings. Kyle Larson obviously added to his playoff point total. 12 different winners. There are 4 races remaining. So Martin Truex Jr., despite the bad day, still feels pretty good about himself, plus 108. Ty Gibbs only plus 42. As I said, he's not feeling as great as he did last week or 2 weeks ago. He had about a 100-point buffer, but now he is suddenly plus 42. So if there's a new winner, he's not going to be feeling good. Chris Buescher, who was plus 30 or 40 last week, all of a sudden is plus 17. That can be made up pretty quick. And Raj Chastain can lose those points. Plus 7 in one stage. And Bubba Wallace, who was more than 40 points below the cutoff line just a couple of weeks ago, suddenly is within 7 points. Pointing his way in is possible for Bubba Wallace. Everyone else is still in a must-win situation. But the Brickyard 400 is back. I still think we should be on the oval. I still think the Brickyard 400 is a crown jewel. It's Indianapolis. I just wish it didn't have to be such a controversial ending, and I wish we could have just had a fun little ending there like yesterday in the Xfinity Series. But thanks for watching this video. As I said, tomorrow, the Monday after, anything I missed, we'll talk about. And obviously, as I said, I'll have an announcement for the type of videos I will be doing over the Olympic break. Enjoy your 2 weeks without NASCAR. I won't, because I love NASCAR. But the teams, the drivers, everyone deserves a break here. It's been such a long stint. So they desperately need the break. So I'm glad that they get a break, some time to enjoy their family, lay low for a bit, just kind of relax, sleep in, whatever they want to do. So, yeah. Thanks for watching again. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.